What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review the third album by Nelly. Basically, this product is called Sweat, and it came out in the late summer of 2004. So the thing about this particular product is this is a part of a double album that Nelly dropped in the late summer, early fall of 2004, which was Sweatsuit, which basically I reviewed Suit back in January, which that review surfaced in February, I'd have to say. But this particular product is like the other part. This particular album is the other part of that double album package. I'd have to say they were released separately, but they came out on the same day as far as that pitch kind of went. It's a pretty good concept here. Now, back in January, February, I kind of thought that Suit was the better album, but now I realize that Sweat is the one that I vibe with this maybe like a hair or two better. Now, back in like February, I want to say I gave Suit like an 8.75, something like that. It almost got a 9, not quite, didn't quite get a 9 or a 10 out of 10, but I would have to say I wound up out of 11 songs on that particular product, I wound up recommending like out of 11 songs on particular Suit, I wound up recommending 8. So it's kind of the particular pitch behind it. I think I gave it like an 8.25, 8.5, something like that in particular. I'd say it's a dope enough concept to get that one. I mean, both of which you do need to get. I would go ahead and get this project, Suit, and Sweatsuit. I would go ahead and get Sweat, Suit, and Sweatsuit, the album from 2005. All of these are particular hit energy that just has some hit Nelly songs. They're just very boisterous and good amalgamation. This is a very clever concept for Nelly back in 2004. He could have just put out like a third album, some pitches like that, but I'm definitely glad he decided to put out like a double album and just nail it. Because this is definitely, if this had actually been like a double disc CD, this probably would have been a classic. Because this is just how this has so many. These records just have so many boisterous hits on here, and it's just a pretty good particular pitch to kind of get on it. These themes work pretty damn well, and this is definitely like the Sweat variation. The Sweat album is just more rambunctious and kind of summer energy type out. And the Sweat album is just more summer energy and more rambunctious type stuff, just within a pitch of just like day activity, just great for June, July, August. And I feel like Suit is just kind of more suave, kind of more glossy, suited up. Suit is just more glossy, kind of gussied up type pitches as far as like some of that sophistication, just with like some outing life. But that one is kind of a summer album as well. I feel like both of these are some summer projects. There's definitely some songs on Suit like I would definitely say like Over and Over and My Place and some of those type ones that just do have some summer pitch energy. It's just a little bit more sophisticated as far as that pitch goes. But this is definitely more rambunctious type stuff. If you like Nelly on songs like Dilemma and songs like Hot in Here and some of those type pitches, some of those type ones, even Air Force ones, this is definitely the album to kind of get here just within the 2004 rendition, which is pretty awesome because 2004 was a good year for Nelly. He was still on top of the world back in these particular days, still had plenty of good chart appeal and stuff like that. These singles are pretty boisterous and just those overall pitches, especially songs like Flap Your Wings, Tilt Your Head Back, some of those type ones, just a lot of damage. But all three of the singles are really excellent on here, I'd have to say. So that's the dope enough concept about that. There's plenty of good energy. Like I said, I was surprised that this album actually outshines Suit just within that particular pitch. It has more songs as well, so that's pretty much the concept. If there had been maybe 11 songs, but even then, there's just more winning hits on this particular project. This really nails the particular package on here. I almost think that maybe there should have been another song on Suit to kind of equalize it a little bit better because it makes it come off as if Suit is the worst package. They're both pretty good, pretty excellent ones to kind of get here. I would definitely recommend both these. This is kind of the concept that Sweat just had more songs, just a little bit more quality. Sweat just had more songs, a little bit more quality control, and just overall the pitch behind it was just more classic. This is basically like a classic album, I'd say, which is an interesting concept, just because I feel like Suit is on par with this one. It dismissed like a classic score by like a song or two. Some Suit dismissed like a classic score by like a song and a half, I'd say in particular. But that's the concept about it. So we'll go ahead and talk about the singles here. Basically, there were 3 singles. There were six singles across Sweat and Suit. Each album got 3 singles. Pretty good pitch to kind of get that. But all 3 of these singles hit pretty heavily. Now, really the only true hit single off this particular album in terms of like widespread appeal is this Flap Your Wings. Really, it was the Suit album that just did a lot better on like that particular pitch back in those days of like 2004, 2005. But the singles are all good on this particular album. They just didn't chart as heavily as far as that particular appeal. That's probably why most folks probably think that Suit is the better album. But these songs are pretty excellent. These just have a lot of good boisterous and rambunctious kind of summer thrills of energy and just overall carnivorous type tones. But the appeal just casual wise is not quite as heavy. I mean, apart from Flap Your Wings, that's pretty much the concept as far as that particularly kind of went. But basically, Flap Your Wings is a real nice one. This is produced by the Neptunes, so Pharrell is kind of on here a little bit. He's kind of in like the ad libs and stuff like that. It's a pretty good pitch. It's like a great burst of summer flash energy, I'd have to say in particular. It's like a good sequel to Hot and Hero, definitely have to say. This is just some carefree And this song is just kind of a carefree breeziness bop, I'd have to say in particular. So it's a pretty nice one. Had a lot of appeal. I want to say this is like a top three, top five single back in 2004 when it came out. Just a real good staple out of the summer of 2004. Some pitches like that as far as that particular kind of goes. Once again, it's a great sequel to Hot in Here. Some of that particular type pitch of energy. It's a good concept that Nelly kind of did it's a great concept that Nelly did like an evolution of that particular song. Pretty catchy in energy. Just has a lot of good thrills. Just some boisterous kind of raucous type energy that just works pretty well. It's like a good summer boiler. Just some great dance type energy that just works pretty heavily. I'd have to say, really need another song like this on here. I'd have to say, definitely could have used another one. This is pretty much one of the most pitched songs of energy on this particular album. No, 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 it's a pretty nice one as well. But this one definitely, in terms of like chart appeal, really has like that package ready to go type stuff. If this album would have had another one like this, it probably would have been able to compete full blown with like Suit as far as that pitch kind of goes. But once again, I feel like this is a better album. Just needed another kind of charting massive appeal type song like this one. This was a top five single. Tilt Your Head Back with Christina Aguilera is the second single. Now, this one was like a top 60 single hit, like the top 55, something like that. I'd have to say it was a good enough concept. It's like a suaver kind of evening, gussied up kind of club bustle of a song, I'd have to say in particular. There's like some date night times for some summer outing energy, I'd have to say just in particular. And this is a pretty dope song. So Nelly and Christina Aguilera have a pretty good pairing and combination on this particular type of song. This really feels like it could have been on Suit as far as that pitch kind of goes. Just a little bit more gussied up a little bit. Not quite as much Jersey and white tee type music, but it definitely works for like some good appeal. Tilt Your Head Back definitely has some summer appeal about it, I'd have to say in particular, but this one's just a little bit more sophisticated just within that concept. It's just a little bit more of like date night type energy, some stuff like that. Once again, just more, not necessarily tuxedo type music, but just a little bit more appeal, just maybe like polo type music, some stuff like that, just a little bit more dressed up, a little bit snazzier type stuff. Just at least a 7 in terms of like gracefulness, just something, just a little bit of dress to impress in there, just the basic concept of date night type energy, just some of those type pitches, just looking a little bit more glossy. It works as a pretty good appeal type song, not just like your typical kind of hole in the wall or just bar hopping type music. I'd have to say a little bit more snaz towards it, but it works pretty well. This is a good kind of sequel to Flap Your Wings. Just too bad this song didn't chart better. This kind of one. I mean, I admit it doesn't have the full blown kind of casual appeal, but it is a nice bop to kind of have just on like an atypical kind of day, I'd have to say. No, 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 no is the third single. Now, this is a good pounding club hitter, I'd have to say, definitely in particular. This is like a good sequel to Flap Your Wings. It's just too bad that this song didn't chart at all, because this pretty much has one of the best beats on the album, I'd have to say. This is a real nice one by Jazzy Faye, I'd have to say. It's like a pounding kind of dance club hitter, like I was saying. It's like a sparkling kind of glossy jive that this song particularly kind of has, and this is just a great song to get cranked to. Really recommend having some drinks in your system when you listen and dance to this particular song. This is just some summer bustle, I'd have to say. So it's a pretty excellent type one here. Lots of good thrilling energy. Now, I do think the song title probably could have been a little bit better, but I do like most of the pitch of this particular song. It's just a pretty good, nice one to kind of get here. Just real pounding type one that just works pretty heavily. Just real eviscerative type energy. Just real kind of energetic type one. Should get you exhilarated pretty quickly, I'd have to say in particular. It's just a real thrilling type one. Definitely needed songs like this on Suit, I'd have to say, but this is just a good pitch of something just with some boisterous kind of energy. It's definitely going to get the energy, just kind of pulsating pitches like that, I'd have to say in particular. So this is a nice one. But basically, talk about the rest of this album. So out of 13 songs on this particular project, once again, this has a couple more songs than Suit does, but out of those 13 songs, I wound up recommending to you 11. So that's a pretty good pitch. This is why this album's going to get a 10 out of 10. It's just because it nails basically every song on here, minus the two songs I'm not going to recommend, which would just be basically Grand Hangout and then Boy, the last song on here. So basically, I just didn't appreciate the particular production pitch of Grand Hangout. That one's just kind of a poor type one, which is too bad because it has Fat Joe and Remy Ma in their particular prime. I was expecting a little bit better of a pitch from that one as far as that particular kind of went. That one was just kind of some glazed kind of summer energy, but just didn't pull out the vibes quite as well as some of these other ones on here, like Another One or American Dream or Get You, some of those type ones, or Down in the Water, some of those type ones. I'd have to say it was just kind of a spare type song, I'd have to say. And then Boy is the same concept. Now, Boy is kind of like a crunk type tune, which is interesting, kind of get Nelly on some crunk as far as that particular kind of goes. This really was kind of a pounding type one, pretty similar to like Spider Man, Get You, and Nah, 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 but just didn't pull out the vibe quite as well as it needed to. Really, for the most part, this whole album is excellently produced. I'd have to say all of these beats on here are pretty damn well emphatic, I'd have to say. It's this kind of concept. For some reason, the emphasis and the overall appeal and just the execution of particular the song Boy just didn't pull off quite as well as it needed to, which is too bad because it had a pretty good little flip and big gip on there, which probably could have been a lot better had it pulled off the vibe particularly a little bit better. But this album's still going to get a 10 out of 10, I'd have to say. Just those two pitches were just some awkward type ones that just didn't work quite as well. But to talk about some of these songs on here, Heart of a Champion's a real nice one. This is a very different song for Nelly, but it's a pretty good pitch. It's like a good Rocky-like motivation tune, I'd have to say in particular. And by Rocky, I mean the Rocky Sylvester Stallone movie, I'd have to say. There's like some ESPN and sports game bustle, I'd have to say in particular. And this is just good for some outdoor event And this song is just good for some outdoor event kind of times, I'd have to say in particular. So it's a pretty good pounding type one to kind of get here. Definitely some good motivation, just overall bustle, a real thrilling hustle type song that just works pretty well. Definitely like the motivational pep of this particular song. Definitely a good song to kind of have. I mean, the 2000s rap didn't really do this as much. I mean, it did have some hustle motivation type tunes, but in terms of like a typical kind of 80s kind of like in terms of like a vintage kind of 80s Eye of the Tiger type pitch as far as that particular kind of goes. There weren't a ton of songs like this back in those particular days, but this is a pretty good concept of one to kind of get here. Just a motivational type pep that works pretty well. It's a real thrilling type one, and it really should get you up out of your seat in some pitches like that, I'd have to say. One of the best songs on this particular album would have to be Spider-Man. This is a real nice one. It's like a stylish kind of it's like a stylish kind of floss out song, I'd have to say in particular. It's like a good 2000s rap flash of a song, I would definitely have to say. And this is just hooky and catchy. And the song is definitely some hooky and kind of catchy swag rap, I'd have to say. And it's definitely one of the album's best songs, I'd have to suppose. So it's a pretty good concept. Really like the style and just the overall blissful kind of electro kind of appeal of Spider-Man. Just real, pretty much one of the album's best beats on top of that. Just real hooky and appealing. This one just has a lot of style and flair. This probably would have been a great single to kind of had on here. Really, this album is chock full of singles. I'd have to say damn near. I feel like songs like Spider-Man would be a nice one. Heart of a Champion probably could have been like a good. Heart of a Champion definitely could have been one. This has the Lincoln vocal, and Heart of a Champion has like the Lincoln University vocal ensemble, which is a pretty good pitch. That one was the most popular song according to Spotify, which had over 25 million plays, which is surprising, but that's a real popular one. Like I said, that's a real good motivator one. That could have been a single. I definitely feel like Get You probably could have been one if he wanted to take it back to the St. Lunatics type vibes. There's just some ones on here that really had some of that particular pitch. But River Don't Run's another pretty good highlight. River Don't Run's another pretty good highlight. This has Stephen Marley and then Murphy Lee on here, which is pretty dope pitch to kind of get that one. It's like a summer malaise kind of ruminating of a song I'd have to say in particular. It's like some standard kind of the song is some standard day commerce, and this is like some decent workaday snaz I'd have to say for some summer days I'd have to suppose in particular. So this discount. This one's definitely a pretty daisy type one I'd have to suppose in particular. Just some malaise type ruminating that just works pretty well I'd have to suppose. Just some good concepts just to kind of get that. Really has a pretty great hook from Stephen Marley on here just in particular. It's a real nice one to kind of get. It's just interesting for some of the summer kickback just within that standard type fare. This is more of like late July, August type fare more so than the typical beginning of summer. I mean, I feel like this is like a stretcher. This is definitely like a stretcher type one, but this has some of that makeshift and kind of workaday type appeal about it. There's not a ton of workaday type songs in here. I kind of feel like Tilt Your Head Back could almost be one. A little bit of Heart of a Champion, a little bit of River Don't Run, some of those type pitches. There's just some ones on here that do kind of have some of that appeal. Maybe I'd also say a little bit of Down in the Water just within that relative appeal. But this is just a real kind of kickback, just kind of summer afternoon, just pitches, smoking like a swish or something like that, having some pizza in the backyard, some of those type pitches that just works pretty damn well. But this album does have some light kind of licks of makeshift type haze just about, and this is a good example of that. This is just a good combination, getting Stephen Marley, Murphy Lee, and Nelly all on this particular song works pretty well. So that's a nice one. Get You is a pretty nice one. It's like a jazzy kind of electro club hitter, I'd have to say in particular. It's a real feisty kind of spiced energy that this song particularly kind of has, and this is just a good pairing with Na 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 Na. And this would be another great song to get cranked to. This is definitely a great song. So Get You would definitely be another great song to get drunk to as far as that pitch kind of goes. Na 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 and Get You are two great pairings of ones to kind of get in particular. I'd probably say Play is another good one with that relative concept. So to talk about Playa, this is like a snazzy kind of romantic club gem I'd have to say in particular. This one goes well with Tilt Your Head Back. I would definitely have to say this is like some more graceful type of appeals. I definitely have to suppose this song is some vanilla dance vibes I'd have to say in particular. And this is just great for some evening loud pack I'd have to say. So this one, once again, this goes great with Tilt Your Head Back. Just some good pitches kind of have there. These are both some kind of sophisticated outing type ones just to have in particular. Just some great date night type music and stuff like that. A little bit more ladies oriented as far as that pitch kind of goes. A little bit more snazziness, a little bit more gussied up as far as that pitch kind of has with it. Just a little bit more romantic kind of summer evening energy as far as those pitches kind of happen. It's interesting kind of get Mobb Deep and Missy Elliott on this particular song. I like Missy Elliott's kind of vocals on this particular chorus as far as that pitch kind of goes. She really helps out the song. And then it's interesting to kind of get Mobb Deep on here because it's not their typical kind of fit like some southern hip hop as far as that particular kind of goes, but it works. It's a real jazzy type one that just has some good appeal towards it. Just an offhanded kind of one that has a lot of appeal. Down in the Water is a pretty nice one. This is like a thumping kind of summer bravado. Down in the Water is like a thumping kind of summer bravado vibes. I'd have to say this is like a hot blazing day. I would definitely have to suppose, and this is like some regular commerce and activity of a song. I'd have to say definitely. And this is just a bustling kind of song. So once again, there's just some lazy kind of summer day activity type tunes as far as that pitch kind of goes. Just some countryside, country rap type tunes as far as that pitch kind of goes. It's like a good sequel to Country Grammar and Nellyville. I'd have to say in particular, just some great stuff to kind of get for like some southern rap and just pitches like that. Just some good concepts with just like some summer malaise and haze type energy. Just smoke a swisher in the back backyard, get some pizza, some of those type pitches, just day activity, gas station romps, and frolicking and pitches like that. This is a pretty good frolicking album, I'd have to say. Just a good summer energy, just relative day routine and errands. Some of it's makeshift, some of it's just recreational type fare. It was just some good concepts. Some other good summer malaise type energies would be another one. It's like a lazy kind of outback summer frolicking of a song I'd have to say in particular. This is definitely like a crack a beer kind of hot day activity type hangout too, and I would have to say pretty good pitch for that. And this is definitely some hangout glaze I'd have to say in particular. And this is just great for like a breezy day. So it's definitely like a crack a beer type music I'd have to say. Just have a 12 pack of Budweiser, some pitches like that. It's an easy kind of summer breeze activity. Playing football or frisbee in the backyard, some pitches like that. Playing darts, some of those type pitches. Just standard fare, barbecue, lemonade type music pitches like that. KFC, Popeyes, some of those type pitches as far as that particular kind of goes. Burger King. Just I'd say some good summer frolicking activity that just works pretty damn well. Lazy kind of day, simple kind of day, smokage kind of day, just stuff like that. Just hang out with your pals and pitches like that. And a lot of these songs have like the Saint Lunatics on there, so it's just a good. This is definitely some good homey music. This is definitely some great music for the gang all being here as far as that pitch kind of goes along with it. Just some great pitches, kind of get some of those. And I'd have to say American Dream's another highlighted one as well. It's like a day's kind of hot day kickback of a song, I'd have to say. This feels like a Saint Lunatics 2001 album days as far as that pitch kind of goes. The Free City album as far as that pitch kind of happens. This is a 2004 rendition of it, so it's definitely some good concepts because Free City's a pretty dope album. Definitely recommend that one. Gonna have to get to that one gonna have to get to that one at some pitch, I'd have to say, but this is definitely some good afternoon commerce, I'd have to say. So it's a pretty good concept. Just some real kind of twinkling type productions on here that just work pretty well. Just some real, I mean, a lot of this energy is real affable and lazy just within that relative pitch. It's just a real good evolution of the sound that Country Grammar and Nellyville particularly kind of did. Just some excellent kind of concepts. The summer energy on this particular album is just very affable and infectious. This makes you want to just smoke a whole bunch and have a bunch of pizza, stuff like that. Flirt with some ladies, just have some dance type tunes and twerk type tunes for that sort of pitch, just in like June, July, August, as far as that kind of goes. Some excellent type stuff. I mean, it doesn't sound dated either. A lot of these productions on here are pretty emphatic and just overall infectious, I'd say. Songs like Spider Man, songs like American Dream, songs like Get Ya, songs like Na 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 Na, some hustle type songs like Heart of a Champion, some of those type pitches, some kind of makeshift type tunes like River Don't Run, some ladies night energy and sophistication like Play In, Tilt Your Head Back, some of those type pitches, and then just a hit single, Flap Your Wings. That was a pretty chart heavy and just overall boisterous type one that did a lot of damage with that. So that's the concept of this particular album. So this album's gonna get a 10 out of 10. The social score I'm gonna go ahead and give. That's actually kind of tricky. I think I'll give the social score like a 9.75 out of 10 because I feel like it is a 10 out of 10 for the most part in terms of quality, but just the concept behind it just didn't have like the full blown kind of casual appeal. I do feel like these songs do have some good quality about them, but just in terms of like other charting hits as big as like Flap Your Wings, I kind of feel like this album kind of gets like the brunt of like the backlash as far as that particular kind of goes. For most people, probably feel like Suits the better album, but this is clearly the better album, I'd have to say. But this social score gets a 9.75 out of 10 just because it didn't have like another charting hit as large as Flap Your Wings, which Flap Your Wings was the top 5, top 3 singles as far as that pitch kind of went. But Tilt Your Head Back and Na 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 were kind of mostly ignored as far as that pitch kind of goes. So, I mean, I think in terms of quality, you can tell that it just really is like a classic 10 out of 10, but I'm just going to give it a 9.75 just because it didn't quite get the casual type of appeal full blown. I mean, these are both recommended. Sweat and Suit are pretty good. Sweat and Suit do have some overall appeal about them, but I would have to say that Suit pretty much edges it out in terms of casual appeal and just overall stuff like that, just by like a hair or two, some pitches like that, I'd have to say. But basically, the concept in terms of the future, like Nelly put out an album in late 2021 as far as that pitch kind of goes along with the late summer of 2021. So there's some pitches like that. I know he pretty much put out like a project or something like that in 2022 or like a redux, something in that relative pitch, I'd have to say. But I just would have to suppose in particular there are some more Nelly albums to get to, like Nellyville and the Free City album, some of those type pitches, the dirty versions, the reinventions, some of those type ones that I really want to get to as far as that particular pitch kind of goes. Even Brass Knuckles 5.0, we'll definitely get to some more of these, but this is a classic album here, classic Southern rap album as far as that pitch kind of goes, full of boisterous kind of summer energy, full of nightclub snaz, full of pretty much day commerce, full of lazy day commerce, and just retroactive kind of frolicking and pitches like that, just within that relative lazy day kind of appeal as far as that kind of goes. Just smoke a swisher, get some pizza, crack a beer, some pitches like that, just would have to say. Some great concepts kind of get in particular. So I'd have to say this is a classic album here, and I do highly recommend it. But I would also say don't forget to pick up Suit because it's just a good 1-2 punch to kind of get both these because it just has some boisterous, because both these albums combined have some pretty blistering appeal, I'd have to say.